Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since I've done a vehicle review, and I had the opportunity to test drive a 2024 Mazda CX30. Now this is the Carbon Edition, which is the top tier version of what Mazda offers with the CX30 platform. Even though you get the same all-wheel drive chassis across all four options, and you get a 2.5 liter inline four-cylinder that boasts 191 horsepower, there is actually the turbo option with this model that gives you 250 horsepower. So it's not bad for a little SUV like this. Now this is almost rivaling that of some crossover vehicles that are on the market. You can almost rival this with some of the Subaru and Toyota offerings because of the amount of room that's in here. Now, speaking of room, I mean, I'm 6 foot tall and I sit pretty comfortably in the front seat, but if I had someone sitting behind me of the same stature, there's actually not very much leg room with the front seats pushed back. So it doesn't really help for a vehicle like this when you're looking for something with a little bit more capacity. You do have some room behind the back seats, of course, as you normally do with an SUV, or even of that of a small hatchback and some of the crossovers that are on the market. However, you may be interested in something with a little bit more space for your money. Now, money-wise, this vehicle starts out just under $40,000 with all the bells and whistles like what we're testing here, aside from the turbocharged engine. Now, the vehicle for the baseline drops all the way down to almost $25,000, or just a little bit under for the 2024 models. The 2025 models are going to be carrying over with some of the same packages that Mazda currently offers. So if you're looking for something that's brand new, the 2025 model is a lot like what we're testing, even though this is a year older. Now, with the inline four-cylinder engine that we're getting to test here with this model, you also have a 6-speed manual transmission. I'm sorry, it's a 6-speed automatic transmission, although you do have a manual mode option with this model. Now, you get that same 6-speed offering throughout all the different platforms that Mazda offers with the CX30. So whether or not you're getting the base model all the way up to the Carbon Edition that we're testing here, it's the same 6-speed. Now, you do have an all-wheel drive drivetrain as well, and that's available through all four different packages that you can order from Mazda. Now, it's nice to be able to have an all-wheel drive drivetrain because most vehicles of this stature, in a lot of cases, are a front-wheel drive model. Sometimes they're a rear-wheel drive. In this case, you have all-wheel drive, so all four wheels are spinning at all times. Now, that gives you a little bit better feedback back to the driver as far as driver control goes, especially when you're in adverse conditions. Sometimes wet, rainy weather, if you ever come across that, snowy conditions. I don't really see too much of that here in Southern California, but on the roads that I'm testing, I do have some windier, twistier spots that I like to test when I'm doing these road drives. And as you can see, if you're looking around me and see some of the road that I'm on, this is kind of a tight, twisty road that I'm actually testing on to get a good idea of how the vehicle feels. And with 191 horsepower, it's actually not too bad of a little vehicle. It does kind of get sporty. Now, you can move the transmission over into sport mode, as I mentioned before, and you can manually shift up and down. There's even a sport mode button, which gives you a little bit more of a higher rev point for your shifting. So if it's something where you want to have a little bit more fun, you have that option. However, a vehicle like this is not really something that you're going to have that sort of a thought when you're looking to purchase one of these. Now, the center console of the vehicle keeps everything well within reach. You have your audio-visual controls right here within arm's reach, and of course your HVAC controls right here just below the dashboard. Now, the air conditioning blows really nice and cold. You've got vents all over that gives proper direction of the air when you need it to blow cold or if you need it to blow hot. You also have heated seats. Now, that's a nice feature to have when it's cold, but when you have leather seats like this, I would want to have more of an air-conditioned seat to help keep you cooled off. I'm surprised Mazda doesn't actually offer that with this model. My mom actually has a Mazda CX-5. It's kind of the generation before this version of the SUV. It's a little bit larger. She actually has air-conditioned seats. She also lives in Arizona, so it's something where it's a really good thing to have for where she lives. Here in California, it's not necessarily as needed. Now with the audio visual controls being right here on the center console, you've got your, of course, sound control. You can flip through your different options that are up here on this 10-inch screen that's featured within this model. And of course it shows you everything that's going on with the car as far as different maintenance that you may need to have. It keeps a checklist of that. Of course you have Bluetooth, you have Apple CarPlay, and Android Autoplay as well that you can get through the vehicle. So it allows for a bunch of different audio functions within the car, so you can listen to whatever you enjoy, or if you just want to listen to the radio, you can flip through all the different channels. Tuning through the different channels was a little difficult because of the way the button configurations are. It's a little weird to get used to. I've had the car for a few days now. I've kind of been able to fumble my way through it, sort of select my favorite radio stations, but it's something that when you're doing it, you almost have to take your eyes off the road to be able to actually see what you're doing. And that can be a little dangerous in certain capacity, especially if you're on a busy California freeway like what I have here, or some of the windy, twisty roads that I like to test vehicles on, or just when I'm out for a drive in general. So it's something to kind of keep in mind yourself as you're going down the road with one of these, or if you're potentially thinking about one of these as far as a future vehicle. Now, handling in this vehicle has been really great. Even in sport mode, I'm able to get good feedback back to myself. It's got good turn-in, even with the all-wheel drive platform that we've got here with this chassis. The vehicle's got a little bit of pep to it, but not really as much as you would maybe want. I prefer something with a little bit more power. But of course, this isn't a hot rod. It's not a muscle car. So to be able to say that there's not as much power here versus maybe something else that's on the market, say from maybe BMW, maybe from Subaru, it might just not be the way for you to go when you're looking for something of this capacity, because everyone has their own unique tastes and needs. And of course, as far as functionality goes with the vehicle, so far I've been pretty happy with it. The one downside I do have to it, of course, as I mentioned, is there's not a lot of room in the vehicle if you have passengers, or if you're doing more than just going to the grocery store, because there's just not a lot of room behind the seats, and there's not very much room unless you really fold the back seats down and then give yourself that extra capacity so that you can have more room for storage. But all in all, it's been a pretty good drive so far. And with the price point being just under $40,000 for the more higher end model that we're testing, it's not that bad for what you get for your money. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna come up here, I'm gonna give you a little bit more of a better look at some of the intricacies and some of the details in the vehicle so you guys can get a better idea of what you're getting for your money. So let's go up here and check it out and see if we can see some more of the nuances of what you get with this vehicle. All right, guys, so I've got things a little bit more opened up. I'm going to show you the back here so you kind of see how much room we actually have in the back. There really isn't much. I mean, a quick trip to maybe the grocery store, you're not going to make any Costco runs unless you fold the back seats down. But we're going to come around to the back seats so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about as far as the room goes. You get this nice red leather interior that's part of this package, but you can see, me being a 6-foot tall guy, there's really not a lot of room back there for somebody to sit. So unless you're like, 5 foot nothing, you're not fitting back there. The interior of this car does really look good. Mazda did a really good job with this particular package with this carbon model, which part of what that is essentially you've got the carbon trim that kind of runs through different parts of the dash, through the center console here. You've got these red leather seats, which of course you can see. You've got the leather wrapped steering wheel and the leather dash. And then of course it carries out throughout the door cards as well. All in all, this is just a really good looking vehicle. And for the price point, it's not bad. I mean, under $40,000, you've got pretty much a small SUV, almost something that rivals that of a crossover. So you can get a pretty good shot of it here in the light. We'll do just a quick walk around with it. I believe this color is a special color that is only particular to the carbon model. I don't believe they offer this color or this leather trim package with the lower models. So this is a pretty unique package that we're able to test here. Now, something that I do want to show you too is with this back hatch area here, there's really no way to shut this unless you're doing it on your own. And this is kind of heavy. So if you're trying to shut this, you've got the shocks that you have to kind of fight against to get able to get this to shut. So for me, that, is something that I'd want something in the way of like a push button or something like that to be able to give you a little bit more of an ability to shut that back hatch area. But you can see as I step back from it, it almost looks like this is like a small hatchback. It's not really, or like that of a crossover, not really that of a small SUV. But like I said, for the price point, for the money, it's not that bad of a vehicle. And of course, Mazda has that really good long-term use. My own Mazda I've had for 13 years. It's still going, and after 300,000 miles, I'm still on the factory clutch. So that just tells you how good Mazdas can be. So whether or not this is the right vehicle for you, it's not really hard to say. You have to go test drive one for yourself. But for now, I think I'm just going to wrap this video up for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed what you heard and what you saw. Of course, if you do, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to help me out. Put some comments at the bottom, whether you like it, whether you hate it, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.